You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Marvel Comics podcast. It's episode 28. That is legacy numbering 528. And I'm here with my man, Matt. What up, Matt?
What up?
What up? And we have some crazy books here. We have one that's an oversized book, but I don't know. It's more of a preview type thing, but we do get Spider-Boy. Man, you like Spider-Boy, and then I'll be joined by Zach after that to do a couple books as well. But me and you are locked in the spider stuff and what we're going to start with, and we'll just get right into it because it's a long one. It's Web of Spider-Man #1. I didn't know what this was going into it until I kind of looked into it there. I thought it was just going to be another spider book. And the weird thing is most people would be saying, well, we don't need another Spider-Man. I wish it was another Spider-Man.
Yeah, I see Greg Capullo cover, and I'm like, oh, cool, Web of Spider-Man. They're bringing that back, but nope.
Yeah, and it was funny because when this suddenly came out, and I heard about it before, but when it comes out, I'm like, who's on this book? Because usually it's a big thing to announce, a creative team and whatnot. So then when I looked into it for my previous show that I do over on YouTube, I'm like, oh, it's a previews book. It's actually and it says on the front, featuring first tastes of the biggest spider stories of 2024. So really, they're just giving you previews. Now, the big play, though, is I don't know who this is for. It's weird because as we go through some of these stories, some of them are very specific to what's going on already in those books. I don't think they're set up to get new people involved. And some of them are setting up things that will come out in a couple of weeks. Like, this isn't like the idea of, oh my God, like a new free comic book day thing will show. Oh my God, here's the new direction. This is just to kind of give you a little glimpse at some things. There's a couple new books coming out, but overall, kind of confused me.
I was thinking weird. Since it has Madam Web at the beginning, I thought she would wrap it kind of, and the movie came out and wasn't that good, so maybe, I don't know why, maybe it's a tie-in of sorts to that.
And she's there, and that kind of ties into the last story, I guess, because we have an idea of that. But that's a Spider-Verse book that's already, the last story we get, Miguel, Spider-Man 2099, working with or for Madam Web to gather a team to just continue in the series that they're doing now. And it even says, hey, catch up in this in issue #4 that's coming out in a couple. It's very odd. I don't get it. It's $8. And I'm telling you, whatever my score is, I don't think that people should even bother with this. I don't know why you would.
You're just better off just reading the stories as they're told in the individual books.
Some of these say it's going to end up giving you a look at what will end up being a Spider-Gwen book, Spider-Gwen the Ghost Spider. But anything we're going to get in this, we're obviously going to show when we get to that. Or if we don't, it's because it doesn't matter, right? I should hit that, but I have this credits feel. But we also have Chasm, Ben Reilly, and Kane book coming out from Steve Fox. So they're going to give you the bare bones basic info. But we'll fight about that because I did. But even then, you have like, hey, everybody, you reading Spider-Woman right now? Well, if you're not, you might not know what's going on in this preview. And hey, especially the Miles one. The Miles one, you go in and you're like, hey, look, everybody, a preview of what's to come. But you have to have already read issue 10 to get to that. And so why are you previewing? It's so ridiculous. I'm getting angry again. I didn't want to get that angry with this. We'll try to get through this pretty quick just to give you a little run of the deal. The first story is Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr., and this is an Amazing Spider-Man story. It is a epilogue to Gang War in a couple pages that are just goofy. At the end of Gang War, we already had Tombstone said, everybody thinks I'm working with Spider-Man, so I'm going to kill that Spider-Man. And that was it. He goes off and he's going to do that. In this, we just see that Spider-Man is poking at the bear. I don't know why he's doing this. The Mafia have a gun deal going down with Tombstone's guys. And the Mafia gets freaked out because they look up in the rafters and Peter, Spider-Man, is in the rafters waving at them. All this is being told by White Rabbit to Tombstone. And like, did he wreck things? No, he just waved. But then he fought. But then, we still have the guns, right? No, he dumped them in the river, which I don't think that's a proper way of disposing of firearms. But he dumped them in the river. And then Tombstone says, get this, I'm going to kill him.
Well, his Spider-Man's great idea is he's going to hang out in the rafters and wave at people so they know he's friendly with Tombstone.
Well, so with that, the idea that he's just there hanging, and you have to have the mob guy go like, look, hey, what about that there? Forget about it. The Spider-Man's in the rafters. And he waves. All you have to do as part of Tombstone's gang right now is start shooting at Spider-Man. They do it after the mob leaves. Mm-hmm. But they're like waiting because, and like, hey, what did he do? What did he do? Oh, the jerk waved at us. But just say, hey, guys, like, act like Spider-Man. Get him, boys, and start shooting. And then you're fine. It's a weird play. It's such a weird play. What you should have had Spider-Man do maybe is find out about these things, and he kind of intercepts things and screws things up before. But hanging on the rafters waving seems like it's simple Spider-Man now.
I guess so. Now the mob guys are just like, hey, Tombstone's a schmuck. He's working with Spider-Man. We can't deal with him anymore.
But they also don't get paid and leave the guns there, so they're terrible too. It says Mafia got spooked, didn't give us a chance to explain. What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mafia would have started shooting. It's very odd. And then that poor guy gets his, his Macklemore haircut all messed up when Spider-Man jumps down. Also, that's what he does. They start firing at him, which would be so easy to hit. He's just sitting on the rafters, but he's able to dodge bullets as he comes down, knocking the guys' heads, which then make them fling the guns up in the air. And then they're in the river.
And that's an ungodly amount of guns he throws in that river, too.
We also do see that one guy with that the bullseye tattoo.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
I always forget
Hopefully
his name.
It's the last time we see him.
Yeah, there he is. The amount of seriously, the amount of guns that are thrown in that river. Hopefully, because it is the Marvel Universe, who knows? Hopefully the fish don't mutate and become like gangsters because they're going to be armed to the teeth. And that might happen in these books. They're so bad.
It might if Zeb Wells is involved.
Zeb or Cody Ziegler.
Yeah, or either team them up together.
Sending a gangster fish.
This might be a setup for a later thing. You're not too off the mark on that, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, and then you could say, hey, you said you wanted to sleep with the fishes, but then see, it works. See, I hope they don't hear this because it might. Who knows? I don't know. They're going to rust out.
How long would Spider-Man go to jail for throwing all those guns in there?
I'm saying Spider-Man, and after this, he actually stops like 50 drug deals and throws that into the river. Then he makes sure that he doesn't recycle his aluminum cans and then actually throws a television in the regular trash. You can't do that. It's not allowed, no. Spider-Man. Spider-Man's hard. He's
trying to throw batteries out with the regular trash. You can't do that.
Exactly. Car batteries. He's doing it all.
Laptop batteries.
He has lost his deal. In this, be smart enough to just have he turned those guns in. And when he's throwing them, they're like, oh, I'm surprised they're not shooting everything. Mm-hmm. It's a weird scene. The amount and just the blockers looks like he's throwing. It's all
an entire truck in there too.
The truck just
in the middle of daylight too.
Yeah, just throw it in the river. That's what you do.
With 8,000 people at work at the office looking down at him doing this.
Yeah, they're all looking
from their high rise.
Some kid's going to be like, I'm collecting seashells. Oh crap, an Uzi. Now he's armed. Holy crap, maybe that will help out because what Spider-Man's doing is he's throwing them in there so by the time they wash up, we'll have another gang war. It'll be down the road. So everything is set up, like you said. It's, what it is? It's pretty stupid. It's what it was. Yeah. And it was unnecessary. And at the end, we get back to, I actually like to see Tombstone after gang war looking badass saying, oh, you know what I'm going to do about it? I'm going to kill Spider-Man in front of everybody. Then get to this and have Spidey waving to people while Tombstone's getting a shave and a haircut, 2 bits. But you end up then, after that, we move on to Miles. We get Cody Ziegler writing Eleonora Carlini on art. Looks okay. But in this, again, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to convince people who haven't been reading Miles to read? That's what I think you would be doing. Mm-hmm. You'd be trying to get new readers. The only reason this seems to be a thing is maybe sales are going down. I mean, people did bail with Gang War. Maybe the idea of this is after Gang War. Me and you, we haven't been reading a lot of Miles. We read the Miles books in Gang War, didn't love them. But maybe there are people like, oh, man, I kind of like that Miles. I don't know. And then you get this preview and you're like, oh, crap, this is cool. I want to go read it. But instead, you call back to previous issues. You have the Cape Killers, which I don't know how that works anymore because the Fist Law is off the books. And you have remember, we had that idea of Rabble, the new big threat, pretty much the Green Goblin of Miles.
Yeah, Miles
the
biggest villain.
Yeah, biggest. And so we get Hightail, pretty much a speedster.
His second biggest villain.
Yeah, his maybe third. They start in the middle of a vampire attack. That also makes me think that, oh, wait a minute, we're now going to preview the next big event. But it's not. Everything in this ends up being not what I thought it was, to then get Miles screaming at this Hightail and her yelling back, them referencing this idea that she got taken over by vampires before, for him to say, I think you're here with your buddy vampires. And she says, do I look like a vampire? But then later says she does think that this vampire's back. And then he says, I got to get a hold of Blade. And then you have this guy, this vampire who they'd let get away. I mean, when this guy got away, the idea that Miles thought that he had to stop this Hightail more than a vampire that was eating people is beyond me. And even as she's kind of saying, kind of being nice to him a little where you thought they might team up for a second and then say, hey, when we get this guy, then we're enemies again. But no, this guy walks off with a totem of some sort, and then we get a page at the end that I don't know what the hell it is. I said I like the art for the most part, but this last thing, I don't know what it is. It looks like it could be a demon crawled up. You thought it was somebody curled in the fetal position.
I think it might be Mephisto, it looks like.
I think it might be like a hot dog mixed in with a hamburger. I have no idea.
I see some legs and a shoulder.
And it says the Sharks are about to make their move. I'm telling you, it really is, in my mind, we're at the mall now, and I see a sailboat, and you see a high-rise or something. I think pictures. I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that Miles is chasing after something more than a team-up with this girl. I think he's trying to get her number or something.
Yeah, maybe. But again, in that, he let a vampire go because he's so concerned with it.
He's distracted. I think
she keeps calling him kid, and we didn't read Miles, so, apologies of the deal. We didn't read Miles much before the gang war, but shouldn't that be why you have these things, to maybe give you not something where I'm so lost of why I should care? Because at the end, I don't even know, like, if you're going to you have later where you're going to have a very definitive cliffhanger. We're going to know it's bullshit, but we at least know what's happening. And I'm like, I didn't think we'd get Eternals in this book. I had to make sure you knew what I was talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So at least though we know, in this, I'm like, it's a big idea to be continued in Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 21. And then I'm starting to think, like, that's a while from now. So So
then we get preview for 2024.
Yeah, preview for 2024. One, though, is an epilogue to a story we already had. Now we get to one where you give people a reason to read this and say, oh my God, I haven't been reading Miles. That looks pretty cool, because that didn't look pretty cool. So then we go off and we get Steve Fox, I believe. Yeah, Steve Fox, Wonder Woman with Ig Guerrero on art. I'll tell you, Spider-Woman, I'm not a big fan of Steve Fox. Me and you have been talking about that. He has a lot of parts of this issue. The Spider-Woman stuff, to me, has been really boring. Hasn't been great. One of the things I'll give, a little kind of caveat deal or whatever, a little asterisk, is he does start a series and has to throw it right into gang war. That was odd.
Yeah, that was tough.
You end up having this and the whole play of her trying to find her son. And this week, we were going to talk about Spider-Woman. You get a Spider-Boy team up. I don't know how that's going to is that going to get people excited? Because every time me and you do Spider-Boy, and we'll do it next, people yell at us. It doesn't seem like, yeah, me and you like it. And so that's the thing, is like Spider-Boy's like the draw to get people to read Spider-Woman. You're in big trouble.
I think it was really just explaining Spider-Boy's powers. That's all that issue was, really.
We go with this story, and again, you start the story in San Francisco. The issue that came out this week, she's just leaving for there, so it is a preview, but everything, you got to get away. I know that some people will probably yell at me, but you got to get away from every other sentence is Hydra. Anytime, and I know the background, I've read it, and you kind of got to get past that, especially in a kind of post-Hydra world here. And
yeah, we are.
She could just keep finding them. I think that it should be revealed after like 10 more issues. None of these people were Hydra.
This guy doesn't look like Hydra. He looks like your regular dude walking around.
I want her to be insane. That you end up where everybody she runs into are, in her mind, Hydra. They have controlled her so much that that's the play. She's actually bringing back Hydra herself by being so awful that something happens. I don't know. Steve Fox thinks this is cool to start out by. Usually Hydra, chomp down on that molar with the cyanide pill deal. So she reaches into his. It's so disgusting. First off, the guy should just bite down on him. Like, that's what I do. I bite those fingers off.
She's putting those dirty gloves in his mouth.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, this guy seems like he's not really a nice guy, but those gloves and stuff, I'd love it if she just starts yelling like, I just went to the bathroom and I didn't even wash my hands. I used my gloves and like nonsense. Like, he's yelling.
There's so many people watching her do this to this guy too.
And she's just reaching in and ripping out this tooth. I don't think that works. And here's the thing. That tooth is made to bite down on to go. Like, these things never work in my mind anyway. This guy, don't get him near Jolly Ranchers or the guy's dead, right? If you end up, like, that's all you need to do, actually. Just offer like a Jolly Rancher or like some other
or some popcorn,
candies.
But you stop it a little early, so there's a lot of kernels in there.
Get that. So just do that. There are like
Jolly Ranchers would do it.
Hey, you want some jujubes? He's like, oh no, she knows I'm Hydra. That's how you get him. It'd be so great. Oh, it's the worst. But she just rips it out. This thing should have already.
She grabs it by the top of the head and yanks that tooth out.
Yeah, and also there's no hair on the top of the head, so she's got like a bowling ball grab. What you need to do, too, is what would be kind of funny, is she actually gets the tooth done, and people think that they would think she did it. They would think that she killed him, but everybody's like, oh, no. And the whole play is she says, I came to San Francisco because I needed to get my head straight after that crap with Jerry. This is all the stuff from before. And at least this book, you only have a couple issues, I guess, to catch up, but still. And that's her son, and there was wacky things. But Hydra did this, Hydra that. Just a rando guy. I mean, I'm telling you, this guy could just be some guy just walking down the street. She rips his tooth out, activates the dental plan, and then says, I like it here in San Francisco. Not a lot of other heroes ripping teeth out. And then looks and sees, oh no, there are other heroes here, and they may or may not be ripping teeth out. That's the whole thing of this is, and the classic where she sees the TV store.
Yeah, and they all happen to have a different image of all the different...
What is this? Like each news thing and they're on there like, really?
They even have these kind of TV setups anymore? Is it 1987? What's going on?
I haven't seen this stuff. Well, this is what happens when Hydra goes to say, no, they don't have.
Those TVs aren't even that big.
No. Yeah, no. They look pretty lame.
Yeah,
actually.
They're lame.
And they are on all like different channels, but every channel has to have these new heroes. And also, what you have to do is you have to imagine there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're basically what it looks like is you're getting a knockoff Avengers team, right?
Thor.
You have a Hulk, a Thor, you have a Moon Knight, maybe Captain America. But what they have to do, and possibly a Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah. So you have this. So each one independently, each news station has yelled to their team, get me the worst shot possible.
Zoom in as close as possible.
Please. They're like, should we get the whole picture of this Hulk? No. We want
just
his hand. Should we get Captain Marvel? No. Look at her hand and her belt. Seriously, make it make it work a little. It's stupid.
Why is Moon Knight wearing a hat? Who cares? Just get the shot.
Yeah. Should we show that it's actually Moon Knight? No. Get the brim of the cap. Maybe.
He's wearing a baseball hat.
You don't have any idea, but in the background, that news team, they have a lot of money invested in the Lids stores, so they need to get that hat. And like, don't get the person who's Captain America, just kind of get the star a little and have her punch. This sucks. It's so bad.
This is probably the worst one for me.
And then it says, who are the Assembly? Find out in Spider-Woman number 7. So in a bunch of books, we have what ends up being every issue a revival of Hydra. To then also get a knockoff, what looks like the Avengers called the Assembly. How does that work? How does that go where you end up having a pretty big town, right? A big city. Plus, very, tough. The prices of things are really through the roof. And so these guys must be being paid. Nobody knows about them.
And it's crazy too. That story was only 2 pages.
I know. We got all that out of it. Told you this is going to be longer than it should be. So then we go to the next story, and it's funny because the next story is one of those. I love Ed McGuinness's art. Mm-hmm. He's got to stop slumming it with Zeb Wells with this bullcrap.
They got to break these guys apart.
Yeah, because you have Amazing Spider-Man.
They're no
Part
good
2
for each
in
other.
This. Zeb Wells. Well, the one is one you should have the idea of. It's not you. It's me, and have Ed McGuinness run for the hills. Get him on something else. But at least you have this. Actually, story is one of the weirdest things because I like it because of the art, but the story itself. Actually, can I actually give the classic, the hot take here of a lot of this book feels like they're just giving us everything that people hate. It's like, let's throw things that people didn't like into this thing to show that maybe we're getting rid of them. And maybe that's the play because this is a Insidious 6 story. And I said it's Zeb Wells, Ed McGuinness. And you get Golden Goblin. Okay. We might be heading towards getting rid of that. I don't mind it as much, but people hate it. Chasing after Grave Goblin, who's part of I forgot he was, but I liked that he'd make a cool little
Yeah, he was flying around. They had to wrangle him up.
Yeah, now I see it. But I like the kind of looks like a Mad Balls-esque kind of play with them, like a Garbage Pail Kids sort of thing that I think Ed McGuinness does a really good job with. They like this, whether or not you would get a figure, but they would make kind of neat trading cards, these guys, because the other ones, they're just. But even then, we said, why is he doing this goofy stuff? I remember at one point, if you remember, we were trying to debate whether or not Ed McGuinness was actually into it.
I think he's into it. He's 100% Rec Rap.
And we
in my
said,
opinion.
And when we talked about that was the big things with Rec Rap was he's just, that's all we get of him, and it's a shame. But I like the design. I think it's pretty cool, and he's yelling and cackling. It's very quick again. And you have Norman beating him up, and it's supposed to give you a wink too of Norman maybe
he might be the Goblin again,
being Goblin again. And what it's a weird thing because of the lay of the land, but it might be a cool idea, and maybe this is a foreshadowing of it. When Norman does become the Green Goblin, to hide that, he might still go around as the Gold Goblin. But when you open up the visor, you see, because they're really playing it off like you're supposed to have suspense. Mm-hmm. If it is actually Norman under there or if it's the Goblin, it seems like Grave Goblin thinks it might be the Goblin. It isn't, but because we haven't seen anything to say otherwise, you don't really expect that here. But maybe that would be something down the line that all of a sudden we find out the Gold Goblin's doing some sus things, and it's because it's actually the Green Goblin in there with Norman, not realizing. I don't know, but it's quick.
Did you catch that? The last half of the page at the bottom, it's pretty cool. It's like a throwback to when Green Goblin was carrying off Spider-Man.
Yeah, and he has him. I like how he has him tied up too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one of the covers from one of the old issues.
And he says the idea of, you have, again, the Grave Goblin's like, I'm the only thing left to remind you of what you used to be. And he says, maybe, and then opens, maybe not. And he's there looking like he's goblined out a bit. Not totally, but he is. And it does scare the Grave Goblin. So
he scares him, and then he knocks him out.
Yeah, he knocks him out and then takes him back. And again, he's not just going to do nothing with him anyway. He's going to make sure he gets thrown in the hole, which he does later. But then we go off. We're about halfway done. Then we get Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, Stephanie 25%. Phillips, and Eric Gapster. The art's okay. It's the standard art that you would assume you'd get with a Gwen Stacy. But how many? I've lost track of. I mean, and I'm telling you, I'm not the smartest guy. There's so many people complain about the amount of Spider characters, but there's so many Gwen books like this, and the whole Ghost Spider. And
when she went to Ghost Spider is when I bailed on it.
Yeah, and but they just keep trying it again, and trying it again. And so when you get into this, Stephanie Phillips wants to give you it looks like we're going to be dealing with, some other things, the Time Variance Authority. That is the thing. Me and you were talking before, but then became more
shout out to Loki
for a lot of people because of Loki. So you have that. You end up having some weird play again. This now, and this is where I want to point out when I'm saying about Miles, like, oh, it's a shame that they're not giving us a jumping on point kind of thing. Wow, I want to get in. This book hasn't come out yet. So that's all this is, right? This and even some other things coming out. why does it feel like we're being thrown into something that I have no idea what's going on? Why aren't you just giving us something to go, okay, you're throwing in the Time Variance Authority there. But at one point, you just have Gwen where she's sitting, she's reading a book, she's drinking some coffee. She may or may not be a regular at this place. All of a sudden, you end up at Tech Boom, and she's in this other dimension deal where there's a post-apocalyptic and a bunch of birds. She starts talking about her dad hated the Birds movie because it made her scared. She thought it was goofy, and then has such classic quips as, what was it? Eat. Polly won a spider web.
Yep, Polly won a spider web.
Okay.
Thwip.
Yeah, thwip. Polly won a spider web. And then, actually in this, what she ends up doing is killing birds. Like, she's a freaking psycho killer.
She's like a sharpshooter with that web.
She's a sharpshooter with that. She's just killing animals. Is all she's doing. And then, they're flying around. They look kind of ominous, but pretty much what I think she's saying is, man, that movie scared my dad, and now I see why. Thwip, Polly won a spider web. Again, what you're doing in a lot of these, and I hope people will tell me if I'm right or wrong. Some of these writers, like a Stephanie Phillips, not the greatest, doesn't have a ton of fans, but I'm always wary about a book of hers. So when I get here, you're going to have to convince me that you are doing something big and fun and whatever, so that I can get past the idea of all the crap I've read that you've done. And I read this, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'll be reading that one. Like, it's already an uphill battle with the character. Like you said, we haven't really been dealing with the character ourselves, but there you go. And she gets saved at the end.
Yeah, that's a short round. That's the guy.
Yeah. So there he is. Show. He says, I need you to come with me. Oh, she said it's your kids, but yeah, grabs and she says,
I guess she's going to be fighting time stuff, maybe. I don't know.
I like that she's sitting drinking coffee. All of a sudden, this black hand that looks like a symbiote kind of comes out of that to grab her. Spider Sense wakes up post-apocalyptic Earth, attacked by crows, grabbed by a guy who comes through this glowing door, and then her last thing is, I have a feeling my world is about to change forever. I think it already did.
Yeah, I think it did already. Yeah,
I think that happened. So then we go to the next deal. Oh, God. We have Chasm, or as Eric likes to always say when I say it, Chasm. It's Steve Fox, Greg Land. I know people have problems with the Greg Land sexy art, but it's sexy. And you have Steve Fox, which I just have problems with his crappy writing. But you end up where it continues. It's kind of a neat play that you do continue that story with the Gold Goblin, but it's Grave Goblin gets sent to, Madeline Pryor, the ruler of Limbo, and this whole Limbo, whole deal. She's with Embassy, which nobody's dealt with, and it's a good thing because nobody cares. It reminds me of the Fisk Law. It only becomes the thing when you're like, oh, we haven't done anything with that, let's throw that in. And even then, what this story ends up being, because it is the Ben Reilly deal, I guess Steve Fox, because he's going to be doing a Kane Chasm book, I guess they're like, well, you just have to get Ben Reilly out of this prison that he's in, that he got sent. So basically what happens is Madeline Pryor decides that she doesn't want to be a warden of a prison and lets him go. It's okay. Me and you were talking about it. Here's the thing. I said this about the Green Lantern at DC this week. If the solution ends the bullcrap, then maybe go with it. It just feels odd that that's what this is here, because you do take a while. You could have just had, him just talking to Madeline. She's like, get out of here. Get out of here, you young kid. But you have these two demons, and they're like, this jerk can take break. And then he's like, oh no, portal. I don't even know what's going on. And then there's a fight and he gets out. That's basically it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was part of it. Like, hey, you want to write a Chasm Kane book? Well, you got to get him
out of Limbo.
And we're going to give you 5 pages to do it. If you can do it, the job is yours.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I would have liked the idea. I just would have had him break out. Sneak out, or maybe I don't know how the Kane thing book is, but you have these two things. Have the one story being Kane breaking him out. Have Kane figured out. I don't know much of Kane, which I'll tell you later as well, but the idea that he finds out that his clone, quote unquote, brother is in a prison only because he couldn't remember stuff. Maybe he'd get angry and go and break him out, and maybe then Madeline Pryor's like, I got other stuff to do, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's a different take. Yeah,
it tries to be funny, but it's not. Like this whole thing with jerk, you can go on break. Okay, we'll go through this portal. Oh, no. and then just yelling and fighting and yelling to just have Madeline Pryor after a Minotaur knocks Ben Reilly out of the embassy. He runs off and she's like, yeah, I don't need to chase him. I don't really feel it. It just felt weird.
I mean, for me, it's I usually give Greg Land a little bit of issues, I guess, with some of the stuff, but I think I do like how he draws the Chasm here.
Yeah. Oh, Chasm looks great. He does have that, like, the combination of him and the colors. A lot of times the things do pop. Mm-hmm. I'll give him that. And again, if you're going to think that Ben Reilly Chasm is drawn too sexy, you know, you might have some issues because he's kind of horrific looking at points. But, you know, I see Madeline Pryor. I mean, Madeline Pryor, she actually said at one point, it was off panel, hey, listen, I'm going to let Ben Reilly go because I'm going to star in the Red Sonja movie that's coming out. I got to go. I got to go and do that because that's what it always reminds me of.
She could do it, yeah.
She could. And like you said, here's the thing, and I'll throw you under the bus. Uh-oh. It's not throwing you under the bus. I said, man, people are going to have problems making Madeline Pryor sexy. And you said, well, she is sexy.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's her costume. I mean, he's not making it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. He ends up. It's who he uses as.
It's actually covering more than she normally does.
The actual story's covering nothing, but the outfit's covering.
I mean, look at Magic. She wears the same stuff. She deals with Limbo stuff. Maybe it's something about
because
Limbo.
It came out that some of his photo referencing is, you know, he gets his old. Yeah. I swear to God, nowadays he should say, like, well, I wasn't going to do it, but I was in the woods and I found this old trash bag of Hustlers. Like every kid.
That's how it always starts.
Just do that and make people laugh. It'd be kind of funny.
Why is there always a bag of those just sitting out there?
I don't know. I get the idea that that's actually...
Every generation can relate.
And it's usually like, it's never... It's always the real...
Some weird ones, right?
Like, hey, Genesis. I mean, I think that was one of them. It's so weird. I think it might be those
High
companies.
Society.
That's actually their crazy guerrilla marketing. It's like, okay, because it does. They want the kid. They're going to be hooked for life. The first taste is free.
Let's plant them in the woods around every kid's neighborhood.
It's always in garbage bags.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the idea of like, and I'm such a, bad luck. I'm like, oh my God, a garbage. And I look and it's just garbage. It's like a bunch of banana peels and stuff. Somehow I found that exciting. But continuing on, we then get Spectacular Spider-Man. Spectacular Spider-Men, Greg Weisman and Joey Vasquez. This is a book that the first issue just came out. So this is a preview of the next trade. They said it in the solicit. So this is like previewing what'll be around issue 6, 7, around there. And we see that right away, that stupid regulars joke.
He's doubling down on that. Yeah.
It's going to go, and it is bad. It's cringy. It's eye-rolling, and I don't care. All the people who yelled at us, everybody who yelled at me and Matt because we said that issue was nonsense and really got kind of vicious on us, go suck it, because this is what you're going to get. I hope you enjoy this bull crap, because this is all we're going to get. Me and you sat and studied this first page. It doesn't even make sense. In the way people are facing, how they're sitting, these three dudes, Dr. Phil, and these other guys, they're sitting all together on each other's laps. You get this guy, that guy.
It's not even it's not even shoulder to shoulder. It's like elbow on each other's crotches. They're so close together.
I've seen more space between dudes on the TV show Oz than what we have in that booth.
And the girl across the booth has nobody next to her. She's by herself.
She loves it. She's there. She loves it all. Like, she's got all that room. Plus, this thing is huge, like, but still not big enough for him. And they're looking at the other side, but they're yelling Pete because he's a regular. Like, oh man, I love being a regular. With that too, just to point out, and this is just the final point out of this regular bull crap. At the end, you have a joke with Peter. Take note that that's not his regular order. That's why he wanted to be a regular, so that when he came in, he'd get that very, very specific drink he always ordered. It's not. That was a coffee with a bunch of nonsense added in. And at the end, because Greg Weisman wants to tell another joke that really makes Pete look like a moron, it's a nice coffee. That's not what that was originally. It's not the same. So it's bullcrap. And so all this is there's a guy, smooth operator over here. Like, he doesn't look like he's up to something bad, with that suit,
hat, and sunglasses in the restaurant.
I mean, anybody in this place, should sit 3 wide, and he's not. Also, right behind him, I believe it's the ultimate Spider-Man Peter. He looks like him. Thank God it's not Paul. But then they get robbed by these guys. You got Slim and Tiny come in, yelling with guns ablazing at a coffee shop. Nobody move. And now it's joke time, people, because then, give me all your money. Empty that register. And we get our guy that we had before, Kenny, who's one of the owners there. And it's like, no. It's only $80. We just have change. $80. And now we get this weird joke of then the robber goes, Razzin' Frazzin', like he's Yosemite Sam. Razzin' Frazzin' internet? You call this progress? Actually, paying with because he's saying that
less cash
no money.
Is progress in my mind.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's mad because people pay with cards.
Good.
But he's saying this is progress. No. What he should be like, oh man, Razzin' Frazzin' internet? I like the old days. No. So you end up where Peter and Miles just take these guys down in a second. They end up where they're like, should we end up, changing? Yeah. They put their coffees they can't just put it down on the counter, come back, or seat.
They web them up. There's no way they're getting those things down.
I was thinking the other thing, too, when you go with that, I don't know. It would weird me out, even if it is my own webbing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's like out there.
Weird organic
it's like
material.
One of the things, there was a point where, like, I forget where I was, but I was drinking a coffee and I had to go to the bathroom. I guess it was at like a bookstore and they have like a coffee shop in it, a Starbucks or whatever. And I kept my coffee on the table, went to the bathroom, came back, and I didn't drink the coffee because I really was afraid somebody messed with my coffee because I left it.
Can't leave that there. Are you crazy?
There, and it was even at a table. I've seen people just leave things like on a bench,
laptops
like coming. It's weird. Yeah.
Trustworthy.
They end up these guys are nothing. They take them down. I don't know at the end of Smooth Operator with this cane. Look at this guy's putting on the Ritz over here. I don't know if he is like working with them and this was a test. He kind of sits there about the symmetrical part of having two Spider-Men. But in the meantime, Miles and Peter, and they're like, oh man, do you think we could take these guys down easy? Yeah, but our coffee will get cold. Miles doesn't say anything then. And then when they go get the coffee, Peter says, oh man, totally cold. My coffee's cold. Miles says, you ordered an iced latte. It's supposed to be cold. And then Peter goes, oh, right. Well, then it's good.
And Miles sighs.
It's simple Peter again. Miles says, so did I. You need the soundtrack of like the wah, 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 and like really canned laughter. Because this is like, two men and a boy or whatever.
All right.
It's so fun. It's so bad.
Are we gonna waste our time finding out about this cast of characters, or are we never reading this again?
I'm telling you, we have to. We're not this week. I'm gonna try to mix in Night Thrasher because we got crap for not liking that as well, and I want to stick around so I can tell everybody we told you so. Like that's what I worry about because. We're probably, and I'll tell you one thing though, it's so, in my mind, it's so bad that you kind of get some chuckles out of it. But then we go, and we'll finish this up quick. Kane story, Steve Fox, Greg Land again. This is the connection. I wish they would have said, hey, by the way, these are fully, they kind of do, but you might have wanted to spell it a little more that the Kane stuff and the Ben Reilly, they're together in a book coming out. And what you get here is, I said, where I don't know anything about Kane. I see people talking about Kane, and from this I know he's a clone. But again, I kind of knew he was a clone from what people said. But you said there's some cool things about him. We don't really get it here. It's more of, man, my clone bro, Ben Reilly, he always did the Scarlet Spider, and I kind of got mad at that. But now he's called Chasm. I'm worried about him because he's crazy like me. Look at me. I'm scarred. And then he's running, and one of the vermin, it seems, are being controlled. And he realizes this because his eyes are glowing red. They kind of fight, but then
I think they always glow red.
And it's weird because he then says, oh, screw it. His eyes are glowing red, not a good omen. So if they do always glow red, then that's a mess up. But he ends up where he beats the crap out of this vermin. The vermin runs off, and then he thinks, well, I don't really have time to mess with that guy. I need to go find Ben Reilly. This guy finds his way back to some Morlocks, and then you end up where, for some reason, Kane decides that he should think about that guy and kind of doubles back. Oh, maybe I should worry about that guy. I feel bad. I'm going to go back, but that's where we go back, and out of nowhere. I thought at first, because it's Droog,
Druig,
the Eternal. Like you said, people don't even like the Eternals, really. People really don't like Druig. And when I first saw him, before I read that, Druig, Eternal, and Immoral, I don't know if that's supposed to be funny. When I looked at it, I thought, it's the Inheritors are back because of the whole thing that they got taken out. And no, it's Druig. Okay, that's not very fun.
Well, we know one person that likes him.
Yeah, Ruben.
Ruben over at the X-Men podcast.
Ruben at the X-Men podcast. So what you're telling me is that from here on out, no matter what happens, this book's going to be for the X-Men podcast.
I think so.
People are going to be very excited when Kane and Chasm comes out. I think they'll be less excited when they realize Steve Fox is writing it once we get into it. But they are something that, I don't know, like it seems like it will be popular and it'll end up where it'll be like when people want something and they get it and don't really get what they wanted. I don't know.
I would prefer a solo Kane story over a merged one with Chasm, but whatever.
And again, maybe the idea of Kane trying to find Ben Reilly and do that, like that's why I said the perfect situation would have been to have the Kane thing first, where he's trying to find Ben and then he breaks him out. Have him make him badass. Show me why Kane is badass.
He could easily break him out.
People say, that Kane, he's so bad. I didn't get it here. All I got was some yakety yak, like a Wikipedia entry about my bro this and I'm that. I'm a clone. Actually, I said to you too, we got more of what he isn't. He says, I don't have spider sense. Okay, give me what you do have and show me how badass you are.
It really does suck because I think it is a character that you would like if done properly.
And maybe it'll get me inspired to go read some other things. But I told you, I've not read anything with Kane since I have started reading Marvel.
He hasn't been around since you started
hasn't been any reason
this.
To really go, and I've been doing, all the other things to get, the things that happen. So this might make me do that. But I think that basically the Kane and the Chasm deal is just if anybody's going to like it, they just like it because they want some Kane and Ben Reilly together. So you do get that. And then we finish this up. I don't want to curse. This Spider Society, this one's called. And it's by Alex Aguirre and Salvador Larroca on art. And it ends up, again, it's a weird play. You are doing a preview, Steele, but it's for the Edge of Spider-Verse. And this takes place before Edge of Spider-Verse number 4 that's going to be coming out. But nothing in this is any sort of understandable, really, to me, to get me excited to go and read that. So if you're already, this is where I want to ask you, like, you're already reading Edge of Spider-Verse.
There's been one issue.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and you're already reading it. So is that, you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird play that you're also probably, you might be spoiling stuff too, because this thing is so weird. But you get Children of the Corn, Gwen Stacy. That me and you said it's a combination of the little girl in the heart-shaped box Nirvana video mixed in with some of those wackadoos in the Soundgarden Black Hole Sun. Like, that's not a good
Black Hole Sun.
You get Spider-Man 2099.
I like seeing him. And I like him when he's not in the 2099 universe, too. He's like hanging out in the regular.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And we have the Peter David thing coming out now. That's pretty cool. So everything's coming up. The idea, though, is you got to watch out, because I think that some people that Spider-Man 2099, the symbiote one, people would have thought that it was Steve Orlando and avoided it. But
it's not the Orlando verse here.
They find out now. You don't want to be in that verse.
No.
It's a nice guy verse, but not a nice writing verse. But yeah, you end up where you get Miguel. He's trying to figure things out. He's been tasked by Madam Web to make a team. You get some, classic characters, some characters that maybe people would like to see, like Spider-Ham. When I saw him, I'm like, all right, Spider-Ham's one of those. I'm glad we didn't get Peter Parker, or I'd run and slap Jason right now. Right now, if Jason's listening, he's like, we want Peter Parker. I'm like, no, we don't.
He loved that.
Oh,
thing.
He loved that. I think he loved half of it, of me getting so angry of it, but I do think he liked. He's more of a pun guy.
Yeah, there was a lot of puns going on there.
Yeah, he loves the puns. So with that, though, you do get this goblin in this play that you have Miguel fighting, and you get some good Miguel, and I like the art. I do like the Salvador Larroca art.
It's a different style for him, too. It's more like fluid or something.
Isn't it weird that when I was reading it, and then I went to get the things, I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot he was on this, because I didn't recognize his style like that. He actually changed.
He draws Miguel very skinny, like it's muscular. It's cool.
Yeah. And so the play here is that the goblin in this, the Green Goblin, ends up being Gwen Stacy. And she is completely nuts. So he is thinking of this team. Even as that's going on, he's thinking of the team that he wants to get. You have Spider-Woman, you get Anya there, and things going. So at the end, looks like what is happening in the book. I guess it would make more sense, but it looks okay. I'm not reading the Spider-Verse stuff anymore. I thought that the Spider-Verse died. I was told that by Dan Slott in The Death of Spider-Verse.
We were told that, yes. False promises.
Since then, I was like, it's dead to me.
But this is the edge of it, though. It's a little different, right?
Yeah, it is the edge. Again, it's like my wife. She's like, "You're dead to me," and there's no edge anymore. It's all edgy. But that's it. That's the end of this nonsense. I knew this took so long. Yeah. Though with that, it's just as much as that stupid, spectacular Spider-Man. So at least this was an oversized issue. And to get the idea of this, it's about 55 pages. It's $8, but nothing in this is needed in my mind. And it just ends up kind of jumping back and forth without really having much of a purpose overall, except to maybe get you excited about things going, but you have to know some stuff. And like you said, you thought that it was going to kind of be more of a bookend thing with Madam Web. Hey, because, she does start with, I've seen the threads in this. It kind of gets back to it a little at the end, but it could have been tighter, and it could have been like something a little more needed or exciting, at least, like cool for people who didn't. I think it's like a free comic book day thing that they're charging $8 for, and it just felt weird.
This would have been a good, but it's like you see the last 2 pages, and it's like Nick Lowe's like nonsense observations on all this crap. It's like, dude, like what is this?
And Nick Lowe,
the editor,
Nick Lowe's he's a piece of work there. Basically, then I like to. When you have Nick Lowe, and I did read some of these, but really it's like, hey, everybody, Amazing Spider-Man's pretty insane, right?
Yeah.
And then, hey, that Miles Morales, crazy stuff, huh? And boy, you want to check out that Gwen Stacy, the Ghost Spider.
He's like a lame Flavor Flav hype man. He's just not good.
It's just hype. And then you get to a point where I think he ran out of time. Because then he says, oh, and what's going on with the Kane and the Ben? I'm not going to tell you anything. He actually says, I can't really tell you anything. I'm going to be a little more coy. What? We have things in here. Like, it's so stupid. Nick Lowe. Yeah, so Nick Lowe gets a 2 out of 10 for these comments from me. But
there's no Jackpot or what's his name in this, so.
And we talked about it, too. Like, there's no Superior, like the Dan Slott wasn't involved either, Spider-Boy or Superior. It's weird we didn't get any Jackpot. That might be a good sign. Right?
Yeah.
And seriously, that would have made it so much better. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But again,
add another 3 or 4 pages on this, you can charge $9.
We could have had like a thing with just Paul going to work. That would have been cool. And he gets hit by a bus on the way. Everybody loves it. Then I'm a 10.
Can you rate this? I'd say, for me, I'll go on a limb. For the art was pretty impressive for some of the things, which gets me hyped up because there's at least a new art team on some things. So I just give it a 7. I don't know what there's. I know you're lower.
Yeah, I'm a 4 because nothing really. There was not one thing in this. Now, again, Kane and Benra. I think people will just say, "Oh man, that's cool. They're going to have books," but nothing in the stories themselves and nothing else in this said to me, "Oh man, that's cool. I can't wait," because there was nothing really that sort of thing. That's what this should be. If you're going to put this out as, "Here's what we're going to be doing in 2024." And then there's nothing here that I say, oh, man, that's going to be awesome. I mean, the one big reveal was Druig from the Eternals. I'm like, what? Like, that's really it.
Yeah, that's pretty lame.
Like, all the rest were just kind of like in between stories. And hey, there's, Spider-Woman in San Francisco. There's another team of heroes. Oh, no. Like, is anybody like, oh, man, can't wait for that. So weird. It was a weird setup that just didn't seem to really understand its purpose or let me know what that was.
It just goes to show there's a lot of Spider-Man stuff at Marvel.
There is a lot of Spider-Man. And what I do think this is good for, if you actually do end up finding yourself spending a lot of money on comics, get this because it'll really show you what to avoid more than what you should get. And you can thin the herd is what I think. But I think that most people will try out that Kane. Ben Reilly, I keep saying that, but that's something that in number one, me and you are going to talk about. It's going to be, I think, big when it comes out, but I don't know how good Steve Fox will continue from that first page on. But we'll give it a check. I don't think it's going to last long for us to realize it's bullcrap. But with all that, that's it for this one. We went way too long. 4 and a 7. You are being very positive for it. But we're going to go off to a book that won't take us long, hopefully, but something we like with the Spider Boy. All right, after all that nonsense, here we go. Spider Boy number 5. Spider Boy number 5. See, a lot of people said it would only last 2 issues. They were wrong. It's at number 5. So at least we got a trade. Who knows how long it'll last? I was talking, some people do like Spider Boy, and I was talking to a couple people on YouTube after I said that I was looking forward to Spider Boy, and people gave me crap, and I said, it's kind of bonus. If we get 2 trades out of it, I'll be happy. If we get 3, if it keeps going, it's fine. I like Spider Boy. A lot of people don't. I think he's fun, and it's an all-ages book that has a cute letters page that you end up having a 5-year-old dressed as Spider Boy for Halloween. It looks cute. But it's written by Dan Slott, art by Paco Medina, colors by Eric Arcianega. And then you have a backup, which we'll get into that. And it's a highly evolved opinion, the backup. And that art is by Julian Shaw with colors by Edgar Delgado, VC's Joe Caramagna. Letters this whole darn thing. And I said in the previous show that I wish that this book wasn't $4.99. That was before I read this issue. I hadn't even gotten the review copies yet. But just the idea of maybe getting some other people to try, I would actually be great. It's never happened. If it was $2.99, it'd be really cool, especially then you could have kids getting it. And it's one of those books. I think that Bailey, even though he's a ginger, we'll find out later that he's a hideous ginger, they say in the book.
Disgusting.
Just terrible look. I think that this is a book that kids could kind of get involved in. Spider-Man is always on the outskirts of it, at least, and that gets you involved in other things. This is the type of book that I think is a good gateway book. It's pretty much the pot to the heroine of the Spider deal, right? Is that what you want the kids to be involved with?
It's a gateway book, yeah.
It is, and I think it's fun, and it plays up tropes, but it does it pretty well. And I have said all these issues that I think the most important or interesting thing is the Madame Monstrosity. I almost said Madame Web, but Madame Monstrosity, who actually made Spider-Boy, actually turned him into Spider-Boy. And we knew that we were going to get to this eventually, and we do in this issue. The problem that I said earlier is when we get to the backup, it's not a backup. It's a continuation of the story that we're being told in this issue with a different artist. Yep. And they don't give you that many extra. The actual main story is a couple pages less to then get a backup that's just a little tiny bit more, and they charge $4.99.
It could have just been the start of the next issue, really.
It really rubs me the wrong way of the idea that it does feel like they're ripping people off, and there's a lot of people who you're really going to have to convince them to read this book. Some people just won't. But if they go in like $4.99, like that's not something you're going to end up taking a chance on when you're a little, off put by the whole idea. So I think that that's a really bad mistake in this issue, especially. But the farm is where all the other monstrosities are. Madame Monstrosity is going, and she had just realized that Bailey, Spider-Boy, must be somebody that she made. And we even found out that Bailey's parents, who we didn't think were around, they're animals too, it seems. And Madame Monstrosity, you have the cat lady, and then even the dad. I think we were saying we wanted the dad to be the one guy, maybe the gorilla or the pig.
But they haven't said that yet, right? The dad?
They have all these guys there, and the big play is, Bailey, because of the web of life. He ended up getting taken out of existence, and they don't remember him. And in this, we find, as we see Madame Monstrosity trying to figure out things, at one point she had a file that she just grabbed and was reading. But in this, she's happy because she's trying to screw with Bailey. She needs to get Bailey to see what's going on. So she made a boy spider, who's just a hideous, thing of what the monster part. And in this, again, I'm saying a lot of recap for people who haven't read it, but Bailey can turn back and forth. That's a big thing for this issue. He can turn into the spider beast form, but then he can pull back and be just Bailey. But he doesn't like to be the spider beast form because people get
they get really offended when he becomes it.
Really, I mean, this is a weird universe really to be that upset about. Like, it's not even like, oh my God, he must be a villain. Like, he's like the lizard, or he's like all these other monstrosities you've seen. They just start running to the hills screaming as if this is the worst thing they ever saw. And so he doesn't like to do it. He wants people to like him. Nobody remembers him. He doesn't have a family. So all that is that Madame Monstrosity is going to use that and use this boy spider as a way to kind of mess with Spider-Boy, but then to get him to their thing because she wants to do she wants to find out what she did because Spider-Boy is the key to what seems to be everything that she was trying to do to make somebody devolve and evolve, can go from human to this beast and back. The rest of them, they're stuck in the beast form. They're kind of failures. And in this, Madame Monstrosity actually figures out, oh, yeah, I kind of remember this. I don't remember him, but I remember that I didn't remember him, and he really screwed me in me trying to get into the pants of the High Evolutionary.
Exactly.
They're not going to go fully. Again, it's kind of an all ages deal, but boy, she wanted to bed down the High Evolutionary something big.
Yeah, man, she's got a big smile in those eyes when she's looking at him.
It's more than her just wanting his acceptance. She wanted a date, possibly marriage, but yeah, you have all this going on, and they are able to, in a comic booky, sciencey nonsense way, they tap into the brain of Boy Spider because he's quite like Bailey. He was near him. It doesn't make much sense, but it works that you start seeing the mind movies of this. And here, with the mind movies, don't ever go full Boy Spider. You don't ever want to do that. And Boy Spider, I feel bad because he is just kind of a problem. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, he's not even anything but mind movies.
He's just laughing, just like smiling or whatever.
He's cackling because you end up, well, also he thinks these jokes because if you have been reading at the beginning, we found out that this Helifino, who was Eli, who was Bailey's friend, they're in this, lab and they're being experimented on, but to make things go and actually because he's a good guy, Bailey was kind of like trying to cheer up his buddy Eli. He was all upset. The problem is, we saw this before, that still don't get it, but the idea of what do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhinoceros? I give up. What? Hell if I know. But that's like one word, but it still doesn't make sense to me. But that was where Madame Web then said, Madame Monstrosity, you just gave me an idea. Elephant, rhinoceros. Okay, that's what we're making your friend Eli. So Eli, seeing this as hell if I, he blames Bailey. So it's that kid. Spider-Boy made me into this.
Starts freaking out.
Right? Yeah. Oh, really freaks out. And if you have a rhino...
An elephant-rhino hybrid.
He's going nuts, but you see that Madame Monstrosity is going to use that because the other thing going on in all this is that Madame Monstrosity realizes that all the footage that we keep getting always has this one girl. Always has this one girl, Christina. That is our deal. We capture her. That will make Bailey come to us. That'll make Spider-Boy come to us. So the big thing is to go capture, though you can't do it right away. So you end up having Helifino tailing her. The idea that a rhinoceros elephant
I was going to say that.
Slinking through the shadows is very...
Nobody notices him. He notices the redhead, Ginger, but he doesn't notice this giant elephant walking around.
Oh my God. There's a hero, right? Kind of. Nobody remembers him, but oh my God, he just has fangs in the... They run away. They see this elephant rhino with multiple eyes in what looks like a sumo wrestler deal. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody says like, oh, that's crazy. But no, they remember Gingers. Oh God, we'll get to that. So you do end up, and this is going to continue the idea of the frustration that Peter's going through, where everybody who has a problem with Spider-Boy just always mentions to Peter, well, he's your sidekick.
You should know. Captain America's like lecturing him about it.
Captain America's so mad. He's looking down on Peter so much. Like, he's your I love it. It's like, he's your sidekick and you don't even know where he is. And then all Peter's like, tell me what happened to Bucky? When did he died? Like, what happened there? Jerk, get out of town. So they end up where Peter says, it's funny. He's like, well, I guess I could go to the one place that they didn't go to the Feast headquarters already because he's like, I don't know, I'm all out of ideas, so I'll go with the only place that I've ever seen him.
Yeah, because he doesn't really know him, so it's like
so he's like, I'll go, and he goes to Feast to see. We're gonna get some what I think is like a kind of retro kind of storytelling here because I swear to God, Christina's parents do not want any parts. We laughed at the idea.
They pass the buck so hard right here.
In this, they start where they're saying that they want to, they don't care about Spider, and then throw it on their daughter.
Yeah.
Right? They're like,
we'll do anything. We'll treat him like a son. They're like, and then they say in Mandarin, they're like, he's your responsibility. He's not ours. Yeah.
Like, the idea is it's so bad because Peter goes up and it's like, oh man, Christina, hey, it's Van Gogh, says Peter. And it makes sense. He's there. And, hey, where's my aunt? Hey, have you seen Bailey? No, I'm worried about him. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's, where he's sleeping, if he's eating. And then they have to show, because at the end of the deal, and it is weird too, because this idea, you have to finagle things a little, because I want Christina to say, wait a second, how do you know about this? You weren't there. It was Spider-Man a mile.
That's true.
But she says, I know you're friends with Spider-Man, so tell him this, and kind of, hey, Spider-Man sent me here. It's weird. I think she knows the identity. But when they ended up saying and blaming, because there was this fake Spider boy Spider deal where it wasn't Bailey, but they were blaming him, kind of, Bailey freaked out and left. And you see him jumping off look at that jump. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we were jerks, and he left, and he's not coming back. That's when the parents come in. Speaking of jerks, I swear to God, they're like, not even just the idea where they're like, oh my God, like to Peter, they're like, oh, that Bailey, we treated him like we were maybe even going to adopt him. I mean, he was so great. And then in Mandarin, basically start shading her so that Christina can't even pick her head up. She's so shamed. Like, we're looking for jobs during the day. Why are you bothering us with this? Well, I swear to God, it's so over the top. I was waiting for them to ask if she's a doctor. The idea of all this, like, such shame on Christina.
I know. You're not a doctor yet?
Yeah, that's what I waited for. I waited for them. And the weird part is, though, Peter realizes there's something else going on
here.
Well,
I was going to say, look at the mom. She looks like beaten down. This guy is speaking for her. He's kind of guiding her around. There's something going on there.
Yeah. So they're speaking in Mandarin. Mm-hmm. She is not. She returns. There's no brackets. And she says, you're right. Bailey is my responsibility. And then you look at Peter. First off, he's making a fist.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks really upset. Like, he's really like, I think there might be something going on here. Hopefully there's not, but because it wouldn't be very fun. But it does look like
how did they end up in the homeless shelter to begin with? That's a question.
I think she said to Bailey at the one point, it's just like they ended up losing their home or something, or they had to move. I forget what it was, but yeah, they're in the feast shelter, and your mother and I must look for work during the day. And she's like, yeah, how long did that take it? Like, I get the idea this guy's
You've been saying that for 5 years, Dad.
I'm telling you, he's been offered like these jobs, and he's like, what? Only $80,000 a year? I ain't getting out of bed for that. He's like, I have a philosophy degree, for crying out loud. I should be able to do anything.
I want to start at $200,000.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably like, everything's a problem with this guy, and he likes the free food, and they hang out. And this Bailey guy was, he's getting in the way. But yeah, so I'm telling you, if Bailey would have gotten kidnapped and not just ran off, I'd say that they turned him in. That somehow that was the deal, and might be a thing, because you do think the authorities or whatever and might be after him. We might find out later. They would definitely sell pictures or something of him. But,
yes.
And it would be the play on the like kind of Peter taking pictures of Spider-Man. So that'd be kind of cool. But keep an eye on them. So she runs off. I love that. She's like, you're right. It's fine. Like, what are you doing now? Like her mom and dad, they're like, during the day where they send their little daughter out to go find him.
Parents these days, they don't let kids out of their sight for 5 minutes. They're going to send her into Manhattan on her own.
They shamed her, and it's like nighttime. And they're like, during the day we work for, look for work. At night we get busy. And then she goes out. Peter leaves her. This little girl just goes out. And that's where you get In the Shadows.
A hulking, menacing Elefino.
Yeah, Helifino. Now I'm thinking like Helifino.
It's elephant and rhino. Elefino.
Yeah, but it's Helifino. It just doesn't
the
work.
Silent H.
You end up with the Hella. It just is. Yeah, it ends up where you're really forcing the joke.
Yes,
and then you mess it up later, because then I like where In the Shadows you get this humongous animal. He's like, should I pounce on her now? She's right there. And then you have Madame Matrossi in the air. No, you buffoon. Like, why are you yelling at him like that either? He's doing the deal.
That guy's not shadowing anybody. He's as big as a Mack truck.
Seriously. He's so big. Plus, he probably, stops. The best thing, though, is he works for peanuts. See, I end up there. That's the jokes that you get in this book. But then in that, this is weird. I guess it's not nighttime then. It looks like it is. I guess the parents are going out now to go look for work. I thought it was they came home, because then we go to lunch with Bailey, and he's getting free lunches at school that he doesn't go to. That's kind of off. You also get this one kid. That kid's getting shoved in the locker. Poindexter there, hanging out. This is a crazy.
He's wearing
crew,
a tie. What kid wears a tie to school? And a vest?
I mean, what the hell's going on here? Fancy pants, fancy Dan, they call him. I do like the girl with, and it is an eclectic crew here, but I do like the girl with the hat on, the kind of like the Totoro hat. Cool. And they're just, talking. I like too that she's like, man, it's never pizza day. And then they're just like, who wants to eat this garbage? And then you end up where Bailey's like, 5, please. And he's getting all that. Speaking of which,
pounding the food.
Earlier, Miles' big development was that he went and ate a lot of pizza. He wasn't really looking.
I burn a lot of calories, dude.
Yeah, he's like, I ate pizza. So in that, it's nice to see that Bailey is eating some food. He's trying to stay undercover. A teacher comes over and says, hey, you don't go to the school. Bailey just pretty much Neo from the Matrix him.
Oh, that guy is hurting.
He sends that guy flying. Also, the guy, it's food fight time, which would be hilarious. And he does say, I didn't mean to. Everybody's weird. They're just looking at the it's very odd. And then he busts through the window. Like, he didn't need to do that either. He should have just ran out the front, but he jumps out the window, says he's sorry, and then runs along the side of the wall so that anybody can see what he's doing, and then crosses off his deal where he's been going to all of I thought that was actually the list of the days and the whole deal of Luke Hollywood's PlayStation sweaters, but it's actually he's going through all of the New York.
That always bothered me, that PS whatever stuff. I've never liked that.
Nonsense. Get out of here. New York.
Give it a name, like a real school.
Really.
Come on.
Like Quakertown Elementary. George Washington Elementary. Yeah, they didn't get real clever in our town. Most of the things are just Quakertown, whatever it is. So you end up so you go and he's like, I'm not going back to that feast. That's bullcrap. Let me use my pen here. Cross it off. Oh, no, this is Christina's pen. He uses his power where he sees the future. That's his spidey sense, and sees that she's going to end up getting captured by Helifino and end up taking to Madame Monstrosity. So he says, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to suit up. I'm going to have to make this right. And he gets the Spider-Boy deal on, and he goes in this here where you still have crazy elephant rhino hanging out in the alleyway looking, and this guy selling tacos. You have Christina going like, have you seen this guy Bailey? Here's a picture of him. Have you seen him? He's a good kid. What? I'd remember this ginger. He says, somebody's that ginger, I'd remember. And you would hope that she would say, listen, dude.
Like, how dare you? He's my friend.
Prize yourself here. I don't know what you think you are, but seriously.
How dare you?
She responds with, I know, he's weird looking. Of all that, this is what we didn't realize. Everybody screaming, yelling, and running from Bailey. It wasn't anything to do with beast mode. It was all that he was a ginger. Hey, he's got no soul. They're all running. So then you get a thundering noise. Boom, boom, boom. And really it is just Helifino running like 3 feet because he's coming out of that alley. But you have the guy selling tacos go, whoa, listen, is that thunder? And right there you have set up Christina to say, Helifino. And you think that she's cursing, but it's not. It's Helifino. But you don't. She goes, no, I know that sound. It's Helifino. And we think that maybe they thought that it would be appropriate to make it seem like Christina's cursing, but she still yells it.
I mean, it's a little weird.
Yeah, so in that you then get, now we're getting classic Spider-Boy. Comes in more like hell if I not. I'm like, this book is so ridiculous. Like, the humor in it is supposed to be that stupid. It's just as bad in the Spectacular Spider-Men, but that's supposed to be funny. This is supposed to be eye-rolling because Bailey, from the start, even with the Helifino, he tells bad jokes. He tells bad puns. That's his thing. So I actually laugh because it's so bad because I'm in on the joke with it. And
it's more like a kid that age would like the joke, but he hasn't perfected it yet.
Like jokes like that because they're just, first off, he's
reading joke books and stuff.
I used to do it all the time. Knocked out jokes and things like that. They were all terrible. But you think as a kid, they're the funniest thing you ever read. And so I get it. And I think that that's where the difference is. So you end up having them fight for a while. And the idea where he does tell a pun, he's desperately trying, because this is Eli. First off, he's saying Eli, right there should be one of the keys of he knows how he knows his name, but you don't call me Eli. You're the one who gave me this name. And then Bailey would explain, no, that was just joking. It's not me. It's Madame Monstrosity. She's the worst. But he does tell a pun and says in the middle of this, he just like, come on, man, we used to tell jokes all the time. And he says, you know what you get when you use one support beam to knock out another support beam? A deconstruction site. I swear to God, Halifino was going to start laughing and realizing, oh my God, I remember you. Oh, Bailey, and make it the bad jokes were what did it. It'd be kind of fun. But he doesn't. He just wants to kill. I mean, he's just trying to kill Bailey this whole time and will not stop. And then ends up having the entire building fall down on him. But he is part rhino, part elephant. So he's able to survive. But Bailey saves him. And then he's like, oh, man, thanks a lot. Whap! And knocks him out. And they run off. He runs off with both Christina and Spider-Boy. Bailey. And even gets a little like inappropriate with that trunk a little.
Yeah, that trunk's going, yeah.
It's very odd. But that ends. So you end up to have to be continued. Oh, my God. Madame Monstrosity is going to get her hands on both Christina, who she won't need. So that's problems. But also Spider-Boy. Oh, to be continued? Next. Oh, no. To be continued the next page.
Oh, wait. Okay.
This is that backup. And that's when I looked. I'm like, we're at page 18. Why aren't we at page 22, 21? And then get it back? Because it's ridiculous. It really is. My score is going to have something to do with that because you then get the backup where the art change isn't.
It's very slight. It's the same kind of thing.
You see it, but then you do end up having a flashback deal to show why now Madame Monstrosity realizes, oh my God, now that I realize that this guy, Bailey, Spider-Boy, he disappeared. I can't remember him well. Now I remember a point where I didn't know he was gone, but we didn't know what happened to number 5, the experiment number 5. And she had done these experiments. She invited the High Evolution. I mean, this is some crazy stuff. Where High Evolutionary, I would think that he has, a busy schedule. He comes down to see Madame Monstrosity, and she's nervous. She doesn't know what to call him. She wants to call him all these
Everybody's
things.
all lined up in their best
Everybody's
outfits.
lined up in their.
I like that grasshopper guy. He's cool.
The grasshopper guy is pretty cool in that outfit. But when they had them all lined up at first, she's like, okay, there's subject 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Oh no. I don't know who's missing. Nobody's missing. Why is there somebody not a 5? And it's a weird play. But then High Evolutionary comes down and he's talking a lot of crap. He's like, these people, all these things, they are nonsense. I don't need this nonsense. And she's trying to explain, no, look, I can do this. But he's into the evolution of it. Making somebody into a janitor and a crab man is not going to impress him. Yeah, that's nothing to him. And that's what happens. This poor guy's just the janitor, gets thrown in this contraption and comes out as man crab, just a monstrosity. And he's like, God. And he's disgusted.
He's like, I'm just a plumber. I don't know. What are we doing?
That guy's yelling. And then High Evolutionary's like, what?
I came to fix the sink.
You sent me to see this? Like, this is bullcrap. And he says, I'm done. This has no bearing on my work. I thought you were saying somebody who can evolve, then devolve. Yeah. That is Spider-Boy. That's what screwed her. She kind of realizes that now. She's like, oh, crap. That's the deal. She's so upset when he gets out of there. He just gets in a spaceship and leaves. So in the meantime, she ends up having Bailey, but what are you going to do with Christina? Well, she gets thrown into the deal. And it's a good, you have Crabman to set up exactly how that works so you know what's happening.
It sucks because you hear a scritch and it's a nasty animal in there with her.
Yeah, she's yelling, please don't turn me into that. And so what it'll be like I almost said like an ant, but it has
Scorpion
to be like,
maybe? Or?
Yeah, something disgusting.
Yeah, it sucks because her parents did this. I mean, we can lay the blame at their feet.
Are jerks. I hate them. I hate them. Maybe Peter will just adopt them all. But you end up where she's going to get turned into that in a way that it's weird because it's not even anything like, oh, hey, Spider-Boy, you tell me this or that. He's kind of out of it. She's in a cage. You end up, half of this looks like a weird Motley Crue video. You end up with, and then you got Mouse Guy and you got all them, but we know that the cat ladies, so what's going to happen and how this works out, I don't know. But we'll have to see how.
Anybody that comes on her property gets turned into a mutant, I guess. Yeah,
you don't want to do that. No, that's the thing. She's probably
even people she hires to fix her plumbing.
I'm waiting for she just orders things randomly from Amazon so she can grab that. Right?
Pizza delivery guy.
Yeah. Somehow there's like a delivery from a drone. She tries to use that. It doesn't work. But yeah, pizza guy, you got it all. You turn them into whatever you can. So yeah, but I guess there's no reverse switch. I'm guessing that they are going to try to use Bailey to actually maybe it'll be, but she hasn't captured. So her turning into something, Christina, like the idea of, hey, if he knew how to, you do your whamma jamma and turn her back. So I know, but that's not how this works. So I don't know why.
She might get the reversal power by accident somehow.
Yeah, I'm wondering why she's doing this. This is the thing she wants to do right away because you already have Bailey. The big play was going to be, we got to draw Bailey here, so let's do it. But we'll see. We'll see how it is. And then there is a cute letters page. It is the Bailey Bugle. That's pretty good. And there is a kid dressed up as Spider-Boy, and that's right on the money. This kid was early.
And way back in Halloween, too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it just came out.
He was on it.
And so, yeah, and I'm sure from the previews and the Spider-Verse stuff and all that, he liked the character. And again, I sit there and I'm like, I wasn't going to bring this up because then I'm thinking somebody's going to come and his dad made him do it. But he seems to be having fun.
Yeah, his dad made him do it.
His dad made him do it, and he didn't even like it. But,
his mom had to sew the cop. The dad made the mom sew. She didn't even know what it was.
And then, of course, he's writing, he didn't write the letter, he's 5. I know people are probably so pissed
Arlo Blair.
Now,
it's a made-up name.
With that, I'm going to mail in. Yep. And I'm going to do my I've been in a couple letters pages. I'm going to try to work my magic. I won't be, but when I do end up doing it, maybe next issue, I will reveal the name that I use so we can keep a look. But when I do it, I always throw in weird little references and things that you'll get it.
Better.
But, probably have something about that. Maybe the name will be Ginger, or I'll say that I am a Ginger. We'll see. We'll see what I do. Let's see if I could get in there. Because I've been in Miles, I've been in the Sacrificers independent deal, and there was something else, and I can't remember.
You tried to get in Avengers, you got shot down.
Yeah, I tried to get in Avengers. I went a little too far.
Yeah.
I had so many references and might have said that my mom and dad might get a divorce because of the comics. Something weird that I put. I went a little too far because I was giggling too much and tried to go. But the reason why, if you remember, there were no letters being sent in, so I thought they'd be desperate. They weren't that desperate. They weren't putting that in. But what would you give this?
I'm still high, man. I know you'll probably be a little lower. I'm at a 9 still on this. I like it.
Yeah, I think I might be a 7.5 because of that backup.
It's fun.
But I still had fun. Yeah. I like it. And there's some fun things. And you can even have fun poking fun at some of the things. Like I said, the parents of Christina, they're awful. The guy at the taco stand was just such a bad guy with the ginger talk. It's pretty funny. But overall, I do like Bailey. It
just seems like they're having a lot of fun making this, at least. It comes from a good place, at least.
I'm telling you, with the whole play of this, I always have fun reading and talking about it. There's always something to have fun with. I don't get angry ever. I'm angry at the backup deal, but that's kind of, that's how they make
that's just common sense stuff.
And that's just Marvel themselves being jerks and doing that. But Bailey's he's fun. And we said it continues in this issue. He's not elevated like people get upset about, say, a Miss Marvel. He is not a perfect character.
No, he constantly makes mistakes.
Kind of a little scumbag at points, but he's like a lovable. He's our scumbag. Like he is trying to just do things that he's so sad. Nobody likes him. So I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up to an 8.
Nice.
Because I do like the character, and I hope that people would give him a chance. So we'll see. And they also mentioned he's in this week's Spider-Woman. Again, I never judge. I hope that people don't I'll read him in that. And then if he's not good, that's not the creator. That's not the writer. So I don't know how well or how bad he's done. I have to read that later. But that is it. We're going to go off. Me and
Zach.
Me and Zach talking about whatever. I don't even know what we're talking about yet. We have to figure that out, but we'll do that right about now. And I am here with my man, Zach. What up, Zach?
What's up, Jim?
What's up? And we are doing The Vengeance of the Moon Knight. And you had to catch up a bit. I asked you if you would do this. Yeah, so, because the thing is, that showed me right away. I never know if people are reading books or if they're into it or whatever. But Moon Knight at a point, it's kind of a big read, back in the day. I fell off it because I was bored. I got bored with it. And I said, very early that the villains just aren't very good. You end up having, like I said, Ponzi schemes going on. You got a lot of vampire stuff, and that ties in with Reese and then ends up with Soldier as well. But then we end up stopping. We have the death of Moon Knight. Now we have the vengeance of Moon Knight. So we have an idea of, okay, Moon Knight's back, but is it Mark? the gray area being that he has different personalities, things like that. So is it that, or is this somebody new, whatnot? And boy, we are kind of like treading water. We're not doing much here. Yeah. And you ended up reading the 3 issues. So a lot of times people will say to me, well, Jim, if you read all the issues in a row, not between months, but almost like a trade type deal, that you'd see that everything's being set up and it's all exciting and everything's going. But you read all 3 today, and you said, I like the first one. And you said the first issue was good.
Right? I liked the first issue, yes.
Because it seemed like, okay, when you start a new number 1, even though it's called Vengeance of the Moon Knight, but you have a purpose, it seems you're going to go. And it feels like, okay, this is different. This is fresh. You're doing something. Oh, my God, who's this Moon Knight? And then we get more Dr. Sturman. You end up talking with Reese. Now we're talking with Soldier. And what I really do find in this issue, because I like Reese. A lot of people don't like Reese. I like her, though. You realize even okay, you didn't develop her so much, but at least you did. You developed her more than Soldier. So when you get to Soldier, there's not much to Soldier. And I'm not really, I hate to shame Soldier here, but I'm not really interested as much in Soldier. What I like Soldier as is a side guy when we're dealing with Reese or Hunter's Moon or hopefully Moon Knight. That's fine. But through this whole, deal of Soldier where he's kind of a one-trick pony of, and in this, we're a gang, we're doing this. He's a soldier. He does this. He got turned into a vampire, fine. But he's not that interesting. So you're going through the lens of Soldier to see how they're trying to set things up. And then they go a little too far at the end, but it's okay, I guess. Though I hope that the over-the-top Moon Knight is Mark. He's just kind of mad. Now he's going to be pissed because Lady Yulan doesn't owe him a favor anymore. That's all I kept thinking. Like, when Mark comes back, he's going to need Lady Yulan. I'm like, what? You used her to just be a GPS? Like, what are you talking about? But here are the credits. Vengeance of the Moon Knight, number 3. It is a issue called Soldier. It is written by Jed MacKay, art by Alessandro Cappuccio, colors by Rachel Rosenberg, letters by VC's Corey Petit. So we start out, and even then, when you start out, I mean, the covers and the awesome, right? And then you see the next deal is, oh my God, look at that new Moon. Like, whether or not he's good or bad, he looks bad, but, and you're like, oh my God, look at him. And then you go to slam on the brakes because now you're and now we're doing therapy and we're getting that play of, well, what do you think about the new Moon Knight? What do you think is going on? And it just is not a good device in my mind. It ends up really slamming the brakes on things. I'd rather have them out and about trying to find things than it being explained through a therapy session that's not even quite a therapy session. And it just is the idea where Soldier's upset and says, it should have been me who got the Midnight Mission. It should have been me who could have been the new Moon Knight. The thing is, you're a dud. I hate to say it, I don't think that he's that interesting. So if he was, I don't think people would have liked that. People were upset. They thought it was Reese, but I don't think Soldier is that material either. Do you? I mean, would you be excited if they ended up announcing Soldier is Moon Knight? It just seems like it's like, whatever. I mean, the whole play of this, I don't think anybody wants anybody but Mark or one of his personalities, but he's like, it should have been me. And then we just go to the then again, where he's hanging out with 8-Ball. We like 8-Ball, but he's hanging out with 8-Ball and he's going to do business with this guy. But you could take it from there because, again, this isn't even that interesting, like a caper or a thing about, hey, we're going to do this deal. And then this guy ends up getting upset because he's been beat up by this new Moon Knight. But who hasn't, it seems, by now? Right? I mean, everybody is. And 8-Ball's going to have some problems. He already has and all this. So you go for that because this guy just comes out of nowhere. He's like, he beat up me face. I'm like, all right. Like, he branded you. But again, you go with the scene. There's not much to it, but it's all you.
Yeah, so after we see Soldier talking to this mysterious guy, we don't even see who it is. We just know he's meeting with somebody, and, 8-Ball was their contact or whatever. And so they just make a deal where it's like, oh, hey, we'll help you if you help us. We'll be in touch, etc. We don't get anything out of this, really. And then as they're walking out, this guy runs up and he's like, hey, your guy Moon Knight, he beat the crap out of me. And they're like, that wasn't Moon Knight. That's an imposter. And they're like, it sure looked like Moon Knight. He carved a moon into my head. And Soldier just punches him. He's like, that's not Moon Knight.
Yeah. And then you even have like April, calm down. I'm like, no, this guy was in his face. But in this, where you have Soldier, he ends up where this is the whole issue of, hey, Moon Knight was here. No, that's not Moon Knight. Hey, Moon Knight did that. It's not Moon Knight. And the idea of colors of a gang, we end up having our deal going. And it just kind of, it seems like not a filler issue, but kind of a nothing issue. I mean, we're no closer, except at the end, you get a cliffhanger. Lady Yulan, hey, tell us where Moon Knight is. But besides that, there's not much going on. And I think that the problem is, and you even said, we only have a couple issues left. And it just feels like already you're pretty much telling people we'll find out at the very end. And I just wonder, and I think people would even comment on this, the idea that Jed MacKay has a lot going on right now. He's doing the Avengers. Me and you don't really love it, right? He's doing Doctor Strange. It's in the middle of doing cool down weird issues where right now they're in a video game and I'm not really liking it. And then he's going to have Blood Hunt coming up and he's kind of putting that together with almost 60 issues of an event there. And he's also one of the new X-Men writers. So there might be too much going on here. And I know that Moon Knight is his thing, and that's why I just wonder that going into this Vengeance of the Moon Knight, the first issue seemed cool to say, oh my God, who is this new Moon Knight? That's pretty cool. But it's getting back to what I got bored with at the end of the run of Moon Knight that, ended to get to this, where there's just not much going on. It's just them going. I still end up through the whole thing, and I know that the whole play of what they're trying to figure out, but I'm just like, think Hunter's Moon might be Moon Knight. Like, at least he's the fist of Khonshu. You have that, but even then, like, you have the vampire stuff being pulled out, and I think we're going to end up probably tying into stuff maybe with Blood Hunt through this. I just don't know, because you then go back again where, okay, we're back to him talking to Dr. Sturman as they go, and he keeps saying, like, oh, everybody's mad, but it's the fake Moon Knight. It's not the real Moon Knight. He's getting angry. He's getting supervillain stirred up. This new fake Moon Knight is really screwing it for us. But he's going to bring down the Midnight Mission. And that's our thing. That's our thing. And we want to respect that. And we want to keep that going in honor of Mark. And they're not even playing the idea. Like, at this point, it seems like they pushed aside that it might actually be Mark, but we'll have to see. And then we just go again to a then and have another little fight caper type deal, right?
Yeah,
and you could go with that again. You could go with this because it's just these guys, that are kind of like D-list guys going, and they're going to get in a fight with the Midnight Mission because they're mad at Moon Knight. I mean, everybody's mad at Moon Knight. Everybody's getting beat up, and this is what he said. We have a target on our back because of the stupid Moon Knight, so they're waiting for this as well, right?
Yeah, so like you said, it's a bunch of just D-list baddies that nobody knows the names of, and they're all in a van. They're outside the Midnight Mission, and they're like, okay, this Moon Knight, he's going around. He's not respecting any of the old ways. Like months ago, he would have just left us alone as long as we didn't bother the travelers at night. Now he don't care. He's just coming after us. So if we band together and take them out before he takes us out, then we probably will be able to defeat him. So they immediately just start attacking the Midnight Mission. And yeah, so Reese and Tigra and Soldier just start whooping their butt. Like, that's how low level these guys are. Like, Scorcher, you got there. You got Squid. I mean, these are not, like you said, when they're really ripping them apart, it's kind of sad. Like, they really thought if this Moon Knight was there, they'd be dead. I mean, they're dead. I mean, at the least of all, we'd see them like boom, boom, boom. It would go to black, and then they'd all be branded with the crescent because they'd be in big trouble. And yeah, so even Hunter's Moon, like, and that's the other thing. Hunter's Moon and the people, Moon Knight? And it's like, no, Hunter's Moon. It's just a weird play. I do like the idea that they did end up talking, and you did have Soldier kind of mention the idea that Mark, as Moon Knight, he did have a code. He did end up basically, you got to keep your nose clean around our area here. If we have problems, if you cause problems for the Midnight Mission, we'll do that. But he didn't go out of his way just to be sadistic. And that's what this new Hunter. But in this, I know that it's one of your biggest problems because you told me, and I agree. The idea is we're going through this, boy, we're being told a lot of what this Moon Knight's doing, and we're not seeing much of him at all. And I wish we were seeing more of him. We saw that we
first
see him for
page.
like maybe 2 panels this entire issue.
Yeah, and so basically it's just people continuously the wave of Moon Knight did this, Moon Knight did this, Moon Knight did this, and them just saying he's not really Moon Knight, he's not really Moon Knight, but they're getting more and more angry about it. But I'm telling you, these guys, the biggest thing they should do as they're laying on the ground after they got the crap kicked out of them by that, say, I'm glad Moon Knight wasn't here. I thought we were a little better. Like, I think that one of them's at least shocked that they were that bad in this fight. And then we go back to Sturman and Soldier again. It's talking about that whole idea. You don't get it, but we're like a gang. And in that, you have Soldier says to Sturman, I should have been the Moon Knight. I should have been in control of the Midnight Mission because I'm just like Moon Knight. I'm like Mark. And that's where she says, well, maybe that's the problem. He wanted somebody who wasn't like him. That's Reese to run. But he also did want you still around because you are like him. See, the combo, you get the good and the bad, the facts of life deal. Okay. Like, again, I think that these are things in these little, these therapy sessions, they're almost saying things in there that we would think as fans saying like, oh, why would he give it to, okay, I get it because Reese would do, but you don't have to spell it out with the characters in these pretty much break state, deals stopping the action. But that's what, and then he's just going back to, we're like gangs. We have a clubhouse. We have colors. We look after our own. We don't care about laws. I mean, if he keeps going down, we have a couple rap albums we put out. I thought he was just going to keep going on and on and on, but he's like, oh yeah. And that's where you end up, she says, like, would you think Mark would like to hear that you're like a gang? And he's like, well, I think that he'd be happy, that we're banding together to do this. And plus, he's CIA. This is a weird line because I think he knows they had, this has been discussed in the series that they had some other crews and stuff, but he says he was CIA. You think this is the first crew they put together? It's not. And we're going to get going and we're going to stop this trouble. And we have things working out. And then boom, we see the other one panel of Moon Knight kind of just, and they're the best panels of like you get excited.
They look amazing.
Like,
I will say that they look amazing.
Yeah, so, and then even then it's like, yeah, the guy, this fake Moon Knight wearing the boss's colors, because he wants to really play that gang deal. It's like, oh my God, this blood was wearing the blue from the Crips. But he ends up, this guy, he's going and he's trying to mess us up. And yeah, that's the worst part of it is that the two best panels are the two with this Moon Knight, and we don't really get much with him. Because I think that once you get down to it and have a lot, we'll be able to say like, oh, okay, that's him or it's not. But he should kind of go with it. But he just says we're working out a deal here. We're thinking of what he would do next, how this is going to work. So we end, and you could finish it off. They go to Chinatown, and this is a deal where Moon Knight did help out Lady Yulan and Tudor, and that sort of thing was trying to take over. I thought Tudor was one of the worst villains ever. I like Lady Yulan, it's fine, but they go to like, again, it's like down the line, like you owe us because you owed him, that you owed him, that you owed us, but you go because it's okay.
Yeah, so they just go to her, and it's like, we need you to tell us where this fake Moon Knight sleeps so we can avenge our boss's memory, and that's basically just the end of the issue.
That's like, it.
We're cashing in this favor that you owed our boss, but now he's dead, so now we're going to make you owe us.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it doesn't work that way, but in my mind it wouldn't. But she actually, you have Jed McCabe make it work a little for me because she's amused by it. She's like, oh, you guys are pretty funny. Hey, this is kind of funny. And then the funny thing, though, too, is she has to, like, spell out, oh, two baby vampires, a Fist of Khonshu, and that one with stripes. I'm like, okay, you kind of know some of their names, but still,
okay.
It's a nice little play. And she's playing up the idea of how old she is. I'm 700 years old, and this is a joke. But yeah, okay, whatever. And then you end with not even, like, a yes or a no. Like, that's the weirdest part of a cliffhanger is this, oh, my God, can you believe it, Zach? They asked her where this new Moon Knight is. Like, it's not even that much of a cliffhanger. Like, show something with the new Moon Knight. Show something where there's something exciting going on to make me think that something else is going to happen besides that at the last page of this mini that we'll end up finding out. And then where do we go from there anyway? Like, it's a really weirdly paced book that feels like it has one thing to do, and it needs to do it in this many issues, so it's going to take its time. And I didn't think the pacing was really strong in the regular series. I think that's one of the problems of it as well. And again, I don't want people to get mad at me that I'm bad-mouthing the Moon Knight book. I liked it for a while. And like I said, while I'll say with this, I don't think it's bad. It's just boring. Like, there's no real reason. In my mind right now, I think a lot of people are like, I'll hear who is Moon Knight by the end. And hopefully it's still Mark. Hopefully it's one of the other persons. Something like that, a new person out. I don't know how they're going to play it, but I don't even know what goes on from there. Do we just start a new Moon Knight book at a number 1? And that would be weird, too. Like, having these weird different volumes. I just don't get the overall concept of it. But with Jed MacKay so busy, I'm not so sure that, in my mind, Doctor Strange and Moon Knight kind of go away for a little. They're here, I think, and I only think that Doctor Strange is still a series right now to get to the Blood Hunt, so you have tie-ins. I think that would have been canceled at the point where it seemed like it was anyway. They actually had, like, see you later, like, it was great. And they're like, oh, man, everybody thought it was canceled when it wasn't. But I think that's kind of still going. Now, let's do these weird, like, we had a babysitting issue. Then we had a Bats the Dog issue, and then we have 2 issues where they're in a video game, and then we can get to Blood Hunt. You could tie in the stuff there, so we have an extra, because it would make sense, a Doctor Strange tie into that event. But this probably will then, or this will go into one-shots, and I don't know, because there's a lot of vampires in here. You should end up having a Blood Hunt deal, but what would you give this?
Oh, this is tough. I think I'm gonna go 5.5. And the reason it's boring, but I mean, like, it's not bad necessarily. And on top of that, I do like these characters. I'm not exactly the biggest Soldier fan, but I mean,
Soldier's my least favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a huge Hunter's Moon fan, but it's because he kind of was a jerk.
Really
so
like Hunter's Moon.
Well, it works. I don't like him the way that maybe you're not supposed to. You know what I mean? Like, he's not supposed to be the greatest guy, whatever. But I actually really like Reese.
Yeah, Reese is really good.
The minute Reese showed up, a lot of people didn't like her. I thought she was pretty cool. Soldier ends up being the Reese light almost, because even the idea that he's a vampire because she got shot and the blood went in it, like, it even was that. It's so weird the way that it plays out. Soldier to me is a good guy to have on your team.
Yes.
He's just not that interesting.
Yeah, he's like a good enforcer character. You know, he's very much like the bodyguard.
It's like in if we're watching a football game and afterwards they could either, interview the quarterback or the right tackle. I'd rather have them interview the quarterback. The right tackle is very needed, but usually not the, biggest personality on the deal. So it's just kind of a weird play. It just ends up where this, but I didn't love that the one issue is just Reese doing the therapy stuff. I think that's a boring way to present info, especially when you have a new Moon Knight running around.
Yeah, it seems like, because, for the past 3 issues, the first issue, it was Reese doing therapy. The second issue, it was Tigra doing therapy. Now it's Soldier. So is that what every issue is going to be? Like, is next issue going to be Hunter's Moon doing therapy?
And I'm guessing the last one, maybe next one, maybe the 8-Ball? 8-Ball's kind of a latest addition to it. But here's the thing. Jed MacKay had a great idea to show how unhinged this new Moon Knight was, that he beat the crap out of 8-Ball, and there's no way that Mark would have done that, or even any sort of personality. So that was real. Like, 8-Ball served his purpose, but I'm worried now. Next, it's like, what do you think, 8-Ball? And he's like, he beat the crap out of me. Like, I don't. Turns
out the last issue is them talking to the therapist talks to herself or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she's looking in the mirror. I think there'll be a weird reveal with that.
Moon Knight's death?
She'll end up being Moon Knight. She'll be the one. That's the big twist. I'm waiting for an M. Night Shyamalan twist that'll just everybody will lose their mind. Oh my God,
it was actually 8-Ball. He framed his own beating.
It's the Hood. Now, actually, you find out the Moon Knight is the stripper that was in that last Ghost Rider that almost was a Ghost Rider, then became Moon Knight. There you go.
It's one of the vampires from the Ponzi scheme.
We're gonna end up. It's gonna be like, oh no, all along it's a Fight Club deal. You didn't realize, Soldier, you are the new Moon Knight, but you're not. But you are. You have personality. I don't know, but yeah, I like the art. I don't think it's bad. There's not a part of this that I say, oh, this is horrible. It's just, oh, come on, let's go. We don't need to stop the action. Oh, now you're doing this.
It's very much stalled out right now.
Yeah, it just seemed, and even like the most action we get besides, we get a fight of Z-listers that just get demolished, and Soldier punches a guy in the bar with no name. That's it. That's the action. Like, I don't know. He does really wallop him. And there's 8-Ball. 8-Ball is a gem. It's like, oh no, chill out. Like, I like 8-Ball, but we're gonna get 8-Ball therapy. And I hope that he uses a lot of like pool puns. That'd be the greatest. That'd be awesome.
Who's going to pay my hospital bill, Lord?
Yeah. There you go. Just the idea, oh no, break my face. And then do stupid stuff. But yeah, I think I'll go 6. I'll be a little more positive. It's not even me being more positive. He stabbed me in my corner
pocket.
Yes, that's what it'll be. Like, he'll be like, hey, you got to pay me. Get it out of the side pocket. See, that'd be kind of funny. That would actually make me laugh. Or when they're running, like, where's, Soldier? I'm behind the 8 ball. Like, he's there because they're in trouble. There you go. These are really bad jokes.
He scratched me.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I was thinking of the whole scratch deal. Hey, I got a cue for you that's Clue. Well, no, Q. I'm telling pool puns. Oh, you jerk. But that's it. I'm going 6. You went 5-5. But again, it's not because it's horrible. It's just kind of boring.
He racked my balls wrong.
Yeah, see, we could just do that. You could have a lot of ball jokes all along. That would be pretty funny. But I'm going to go off now and talk about what we'll talk about next week. And hopefully we won't get caught up in some stupid web of Spider-Man nonsense that took an hour out of the podcast. So we'll have a couple more books. But thank you for joining me, Zach.
No problem.
I'm going to go and do that right now. And that is it for the show this week. Here's some books that we will try to talk about next week, starting with Amazing Spider-Man number 46. Everybody's looking forward to that. We saw some of that future stuff that's going to happen, but hopefully things improve. We're out of the gang war. Maybe things can get better. I don't know. I'm just trying to be positive here. We also have Incredible Hulk number 10. Something, Philip Kennedy Johnson. I do like it. I needed to pick up the pace itself, get things going. Now here's a treat for everyone. I'll be talking with my man, Zach, about Jackpot and Black Cat number 1. That will be a hoot, I'm sure, but we'll see. Maybe, again, things could surprise us. I don't know. Me and Matt will be talking about Spider-Punk Arms Race number 2. I hope it gets a little bit better, at least for us, in this second issue. Then continuing Superior Spider-Man number 5. Me and Matt have been enjoying that, so I'm looking forward to that. And then finally, Ultimate Spider-Man number 3. And I think that everybody is waiting for that one, and maybe even finding some of these others that we can end up, maybe adding in and having some fun with. We'll see. We'll see what is going down, what is coming out, what is the whole, kit and caboodle. But that is it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. As I said, if you want to find us around the internet, go over to Twitter at WeirdScienceDC. Follow us, we'll follow you back. You can check out Gabe's Sus reviews over at Marvel Comics website. It's WeirdScienceMarvelComics.com. Kind of forgot that. And then if you want to help us for everything we do and get a ton of stuff, a lot of podcasts, a lot of things that are Marvel, but also DC, indie, and manga stuff, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/WeirdScience. All of these things will be in the show notes. You can check it out, hit some links, all of that. Not that I mean go golfing. When I said that, that's what it sounded like, but I didn't mean that. I mean, hit the links in the description to go to websites. You know what I'm saying. But that's it. Thanks, everybody. And I will talk to you later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.